starting. All right, intro number 2, I guess. We're live. We're live streaming this also, so we're live from 1950 South Shepherd. My name is Tatum Escott. I think we'll just start out with some introductions. How about that?
Okay. I'll start first. My name is Desiree Hamilton. I am Tour's admin assistant. I've been with Tour since March, and yeah, I don't have one.
Hello. Oh, that's loud. Okay. I'm Theta Marino, and I started with Tour also in March. I'm Cheyenne, Mexican, and my Indian name is Measuring Woman, which is Dahnet. So, and I'm happy to be here.
Again, my name is Tatum Escott. I am a community outreach manager, but also a peer recovery support specialist, and I've been with Tour since April of this year.
I am Shayna. I started in June with Tour. I'm actually part of the Clinton office that we're trying to open up. I am Arapaho and part of the, Cheyenne Arapaho tribes. That's all I got.
I am Ronald Cawley. I'm an enrolled member of Cheyenne Arapaho Tribes, but I'm also Kiowa and Rosebud Sioux. And I began with Tour March 24th, 2025. And I'm still in training for a peer recovery support specialist.
All right, so now you know who we are, and I'll start out telling you guys a little bit about myself and my experience, and also what I've learned just working for our program. So my sober date is August 11th of 2022. I'm getting ready to celebrate 3 years of sobriety, God willing. Thank you. Man, where do I begin? It hasn't been easy, but every single day has been a blessing since I got sober. I was listening to a podcast, and it was about a woman. She had been in recovery since, for a long time. I think since, what'd she say? 76, I think was her year. And she said, she said, there's not a single day that I've had to regret in recovery. I didn't learn or realize like who I really was until I got sober. Sorry, I'm freezing up. I don't even know where to begin with this. Oh my gosh. Anyways, we've been joking about freezing up and getting stumped and all that, and here I am doing that. So my recovery journey looks like I got sober and I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that I felt confident. I got confident over time in talking about recovery and what it looks like for all people, but I'm really, really passionate about helping women and being a support person, a safe space for women in recovery, mothers. I'm a full-time single mom. This is Josie. If you guys haven't met her, she's running around. I have younger brothers too. So I just love seeing people I don't want to say get well, because I don't think we're ever well, but get on the wellness journey, just start this life in recovery. I love to uplift people and just guide them. And so I started with tour in April. I have learned a lot just along the way. I've learned by doing, I've learned by stepping up, putting myself out there. When I first started, apparently I was really sweet and sweet and quiet and gentle, and they have just corrupted me. Not really. I guess what I've learned about myself in this time is that I do enjoy using my ideas, using my brain, picking other people's brain, sharing ideas. Like, how can we make this thing better? What can we do to reach more people? I like learning as much as I possibly can. Since I've started, I believe I have got 3 Wellbriety certifications, which is awesome. I have loved every Wellbriety training that we've taken part in, and my PRSS. And so anywhere that I'm able to learn, I just take that opportunity. So I had a little bit more. Okay, I want to talk about harm reduction too, because that's what we do, part of what we do as a program. And so what I've learned about harm reduction is giving people a second chance. Narcan specifically, but it's also saying we know that life is hard. We know that there are choices being made. So how can we make this easier? How can we make this safer? How can we make the world safer? And right now, that's what it looks like for us. It looks like going out into the different communities with harm reduction, with our supplies, and getting it out in the world. And that's really important to me. I think that while we're out in the different communities, we also get to make those connections with people and just give hope. Maybe they'll see us laughing like crazy, like we always are, and think, oh, wow, those people look happy. Like, I haven't been happy in a long time. Maybe I need to know them. Maybe I need to, see what they're about. And so that's what I pray about for us. I pray that we're able to reach and connect with the people that we're meant to. I know that my sponsor once told me if we could help everyone just in the town of El Reno, we would need 5 football stadiums to have the room for that. But I know that God is guiding us and leading us every single day. I've learned a lot about myself doing this whole career change. It's something totally new for me, but I know that I was strong enough in my recovery at that time to make that jump, make that leap. And I can say that I'm really happy where I'm at today. I love it. I love these opportunities that we get to come out and talk about our lives, talk about our journeys, because that's how we heal, is out loud. So I will turn it over to whoever would like to go next. Who said that? No.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh man. I'm like, oh man.
Would you like to
I'm so nervous right now. I wish I had her, like the way she talks and stuff. I'm not like that.
Girl, I still was stumbling on my words. It's okay. We're human beings, Human beings.
Man, I just want to say
This might turn into a bit of one of our podcasts, and that's okay. So it's okay. Take a breath. What did we talk about last night in our meeting about? So I had a meeting last night, and my question was, what does your life look like now that you're in recovery? And that was our topic. And if we need to skip you, we can. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. All right. So like I just got out of prison last year in April 3rd, and I remember seeing like all these guys in the newspaper and the Cheyenne Arapahoe paper. You know, I'm Northern Cheyenne, but like one of the ladies there, she was a CNA, and she used to always let me read the paper. And I remember always seeing them, and I was like, man, I want to do that. You know, I love what they're doing. You know, I love how they're helping people and stuff. And you know, I'm sober now for like what, almost 4 years, and and that's a long time for me, you know, because like ever since I started doing started off with like what, marijuana, and then it went to cocaine, and you know, then to the harder drugs and stuff. And like I'm really like happy to be here in front of all of y'all. And then like being with them, like I was telling them earlier, brought me back into being with my people, you know, like being in with family again and back in the culture. Like I love everything about what we do with tour. You know, it's just like it's really fun. And you know, the guys are crazy. I get terrorized every day. But I love that because it's like family, you know. And I mean, we are family now. And but you know, like I feel like it's God that brought me here in Maheo. You know, He brought me here today because, like I said, like I just remember thinking, like, man, I want to do that. I want to help people, you know, and like I want to get, you know, just where I am right now and even further, you know, just reaching people and stuff and being able to connect with them because I've been there, you know, like I don't know, I get emotional over this stuff. But anyway, that's me.
Thank you, Theta. You did great. You did so great. That was something I didn't touch on. Like, so our week started out on Monday. We made ribbon skirts and shawls and cultural cooking. Like, and we go to work and do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a blessing. And seeing those kids get to make stuff and be creative, like each, you know, kid that was there, they were there and safe and making crafts with us. They weren't out doing God knows what. You know what I mean? And so that's what we do, like at work for work. That's amazing. All right.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. I forgot to say earlier that I'm also Cheyenne Arapahoe, and I was born here and I live here. I was raised by my grandparents, Francis and Lydia Hamilton. My mom's name is Carrie Hamilton, and I like to say that I'm the youngest of both of my siblings because I grew up with my mom's siblings as like my own siblings. And then I have two brothers and one sister from my mom. And yeah, so I like to say I'm the youngest of both of my siblings. I lost my mom in 2013 due to alcoholism. And that's kind of why I like working for Tour, because it's nice having these resources available to the community and just getting out there and engaging with the community. They didn't have these resources back when my mom was here, so it's kind of nice having this program and working for it. So that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you, Des. All right. Who's next? Who's up?
This is my first time being live and whatever, so I'm really nervous. My journey started a long time ago. I remember started smoking cigarettes like at 4, and then around 12 I started smoking weed and drinking, and then by 16 I was a full-blown meth addict. You know, had my kids, and I was very neglectful of them, and I realized that today. I pushed them out of my life for like 5 years, and then I decided to get sober because I knew that was the most important thing for me and for them to have a mom. I got sober October 26th of 2017, and that's all I got for right now.
Thank you, Shayna. You did such a good job.
Like I said, I'm Ron Colley. I went to live with my grandparents when I was around 3 in a small town over there called Custer City, and that's my first memory was being there with them. My second memory was taking pictures, and my mom came and dressed me up in these red corduroy and these tennis shoes and this red and white striped shirt, and I still have those pictures, you know. And you look at me, I'm mad, man. I'm mad. I don't want to, but I live with them, and I was raised with them, and I can remember gourd dancing, and at the age of 5 and 6 years old, and it seemed like I was always a little boy head dancer, and I met a lot of people, and then when I got up to about 12 or 13, there's this Reeder family had a Wichita dance troupe out of Gracemont, and they asked me to join, and they said they would make my bustles, and my grandpa made the rest of my war dance outfit. So I joined that troupe, and we began traveling around. And during this time, my mom had remarried, and that was one of the reasons I went to live with my grandparents, is because they demanded me to come live with them, and back in those days, you did what your parents told you, no matter how unreasonable or how illogical you thought it was. That's what you did. And they said, we want to take him. We're going to take him. We're going to take him. And all she could say was, according to my aunt, all she could say was, well, at least let me potty train him first, and then you can take him. So that's how that happened. And my mom remarried, and she lost her first baby. He was breech, and he choked on his umbilical cord. And then she had a boy, another boy, and a girl, and those were my brothers and sisters. And sometimes I'd go stay a week or 2 weeks with them, So I knew them all and everything like that. But my father, he was half Cheyenne and half Kiowa, and he was sent to Vietnam in 1968, and he was in the Navy, and he I believe he had a drinking problem before that, but after he came back, his drinking problem escalated, and he had cirrhosis of the liver. And so every time he'd get sick, he would think that was the end, and he would send for me, and I would go over there and see him and talk to him like 5 minutes, and after about 3 or 4 times of that, I asked my mom, I was like, do I have to go? She's like, no, you don't have to go. And I said, well, I don't want to go. I don't want to go see him anymore. He doesn't do anything from me. I learned how to throw a baseball and shoot a basketball from older cousins and my uncles, and but after my grandfather died, then that's when I began to experiment with marijuana and beer. By the time I was 12, I had my first drink of beer. By the time I was 13, and I mean, I could roll a joint, I could load a pipe, whatever, But as it progressed on through, I knew it was progressing and stuff, but I didn't do anything about it. And in 1988, I moved to Tennessee and worked landscaping, and I quit drinking in August of 1989 because I wanted to get into college. And sure enough, January 1990, I enrolled into college. And then I applied for a scholarship, and I had a scholarship for all the way up to a PhD, full ride, everything paid. And that summer is when my drinking really, really took a hold of me. It really, really pulled me down. I was skipping classes and not doing my work, and I ended up losing that scholarship, and I worked around there in Alabama for a while, and I decided to come home. I came home in 92, and my mom's alcoholism progressed, and she knew she was an alcoholic, but knowing where to go and knowing who to reach out to was not as common as it is today. But I lost her in '95, and that was where my drinking really took off, because I started getting drunk just about every day. But I was like functioning. I'd go to work, I'd do my work, and when I get off work, it's 12-pack time, and so I drank a lot through all that. But as things progressed and everything got worse, and all these anger issues that I had and everything, I end up in county jail, and when I prayed, I was praying. I wasn't praying for just a way out, but I prayed for show me something different. I want something different. And I didn't know what that was. And I got in front of the judge, and he said 4 more months in county or 6 months in treatment. And I said, there it is. I want to go to treatment. So August 30th, 1999, I enrolled into Drug Recovery Incorporated Community House there in Oklahoma City. And that's my sobriety date, the first day I enrolled into treatment. So that means I'm sneaking up on 26 years of clean and sober living. Yeah. But I thought everything was going to get better, and everything was still hard. It's still hard. You still have the bad days, and you still, you struggle. Sometimes you struggle financially, and struggle in your relationships and stuff like that. But over the years, me and my wife, we can just laugh at nothing at all, and we picked up one of my son's friends and took him to school, and he told my son, he goes, man, I think your mom and dad are on something. And I was like, he's like, no, that's the way they are, and even today, when we get to clowning and laughing and joking, and my wife and son get to teaming up on me, and I'll grab a cigarette and go out the door, and I said, man, you guys suck, man. And I like, because they'll be talking about my hairy toes and different, like, dang, get a wax job or something, dang, I mean, they just clown each other all the time. We're always, and but through recovery, I'm able to hold down jobs, and keep a good job, and try to keep food on the table and a roof over our head, and right now, after doing my 4th step and 5th step and working the steps, that I am now today, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole life. And a lot of that is due to being reunited with my family, because I had done so much damage. I didn't think it was possible, but I wanted to be part of my son's life in some way. I've got to be part of it in some way and somehow. And we ended up reuniting, and we ended up starting out, and it was just us 3, and my son was less than 2 when I got into treatment. So the blessing is he doesn't remember anything about that, about those days. And the other blessing is that he is so calm and cool and reserved. When we would go to the store or something, he never threw a fit in the store. Never. He never screamed, cried, ran. He never done none of that. He was just happy to go, happy to be riding in the cart, Of course, his mom's throwing all kinds of stuff in there for him, and she's like, get 2. They might not have any next time we come, and so, yeah, he's spoiled, but being reunited with him and being the dad that I wanted to be because my dad was not there, that's the blessing. But he made it so easy to be a dad because we had very little trouble out of him. And we drug him to recovery walks and meetings and conferences and rallies and speaker meetings. And, he's heard some of the stories that have taken people to really dark places. He's heard them. And I think he was about 13 or 14. And he came out and he said, Dad, I made a decision. I was like, what's that? He said, I promised God and I promised myself I'm never taking a drink and I'm never doing a drug. And I said, you just broke that cycle, son. You broke that cycle, you know. You're the one that's going to start that cycle all over again. You're going to start a whole new cycle. You're going to learn how to be a better dad than I am, you know. And that was one of those moments when the sun is shining down through the clouds and the rainbow comes out and the birds are chirping. You know, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that day, you know. And today he just works and, you know, makes his car payments, pays his stuff, buys all his own shoes. But, you know, he's just does what he wants to do, you know. And so I'm very, very happy about that. So when I say 26 years of clean and sober living, you know, it was really, really hard. I still have bad days today, but I know I'm going to get through them because the bad days that I have today are nothing like the bad days that I had back then. There is no comparison whatsoever. So I know I'm going to get through it. I'll make it through, and I'm going to be okay. You know, and so I just want to encourage people new in recovery. You can get through it. You will make it through it. Just hang on for that day. You know, call somebody if you need to call somebody. You know, Darian, Tatum, all these people over here, they know how to get hold. We know how to get hold of each other. You don't want to talk to a guy? We got girls up here. You can talk to a girl, you know, but just make that step, you know, when you're struggling. And even if it's just a talk and hear a friendly voice, you know. And I thank y'all for listening to my story. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think it's such an honor to sit up here with a group of people who are dedicated to working on themselves and bettering their lives so that we can just be better, not only for ourselves, but our families and for the world. We had a training today and we learned about the center of the circle starts with our children. And like if I'm not improving to be my best self, to be better for my child, then what am I doing, you know? I think this would be a good time if you guys had any questions or if we had any questions on there. Comments, questions?
Good afternoon to Leslie Shortteeth. Good afternoon to Ray White Carter. And well, I was getting to the questions. I didn't want to leave them out.
Yeah, we don't leave people out on there.
And
Good
Mary
afternoon.
Faye Blackhouse says, you all inspire me. Thankful for your work, your compassion to help those in recovery, giving back and spreading hope.
Where is it?
I don't see any questions, but oh, Cassandra.
Cassandra, what's up, sister?
Somebody give her a mic. Give her a mic. No.
Ooh. Video. What is the best piece of advice that you've got in your life? And you're on? Okay. Would anyone like to answer this? Because you know I will. Well, a really good friend of mine reminded me to focus on the first stair step, not the whole set of stairs. Which is much like if you're in recovery, you've been in any recovery programs, AA, NA, Wellbriety, you know we have our sayings, 1 day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. All of those have impacted my recovery because as I've learned those throughout my my life, my time, I've used each and every one of those to get through different situations, you know, the serenity prayer. Um, but yeah, focusing on the first step and not the whole thing, you know, that really keeps me grounded. So yeah.
Right. Oh, I said it, right.
What?
I was hoping she would say it.
Theta would like me to say the best piece of advice that she's received has been to pray, which is right. We got to stay strong in our prayer life always.
Ooh.
That's a really good question. What happens, or wait, what keeps me from relapsing, and what do you do if it does happen? Man, I have had almost 3 years of active recovery, which means no mind altering substances. And I've had a lot of times throughout these 3 years where I could have went back. My sponsor, whenever she was here, she would always lean over and say, they say that relapse is part of recovery, but it doesn't have to be for you. So I guess that really stuck with me. But when I'm dealing with hard times, big emotions, changes, you know, all things that we used to like use or drink over, I try to take things slow. So start out with prayer, start out with calling someone else, another alcoholic or addict, or, you know, a good friend that I can trust that is going to understand from my perspective. And then don't ever act on your first thought. Just stay still. And if you do relapse, I've always told myself if it ever did happen, I would try and jump right back in where I left off. You know, I know where it's at. I know where my program's at. I know where my people are at, and they're just waiting. There's never any judgment. There's never any repercussions except for going back to your own misery, you know? So that's what I can share on that. I hope that answered your question. Yeah.
Is it like a favorite song or maybe dance or prayer or step that really utilizes, your sobriety, something that you use your go-to as your favorite, something that helps you out personally?
You know, one of the things that, and you would going through training in different places that I've been, um, different people have different ways of achieving their sobriety, their recovery. Some use Christianity, some use cultural ways, some are just spiritual. There's so many different avenues, some go to treatment, they use a 12-step program, so many different avenues and everything like that. But in the native world, when you look at different people and different recoveries, what I've noticed is there's one common denominator, and that's a creator. And then that's where I've got to be in the morning when I get up. I've got to have those few minutes by myself, and my alarm is set for 5 a.m. My coffee pot is set for 5 a.m. And I go outside and I sit down, I smoke a cigarette, and I say, well, thanks for waking me up, and I feel like that's the one thing that's going to keep me going, because I look at all the work that I did in recovery, and I look at all the blessings that I've gotten throughout the years, and one of them, not just reuniting with my family, but being able to hold a job and keep a job. When I came to tour, I was at my previous job for almost 3 years, so, and I just transferred over, so it wasn't like I got fired or quit showing up to work, or But that creator is that main denominator that I see through native cultures, and I've met a lot of different tribes from a lot of different places, but one of the things that really keeps me sober is I remember what it's like to wake up hungover that next morning, and I woke up with frustrations, fear, despair, and bewilderment. And I always remember being broke. Do I have any cigarettes? I always remember having to have a couple of beers just to wake up, and just to get my eyes open, and I remember those days. And I remember being sick, hugging on the toilet, and I remember that not being able to eat, you know. So I remember those days clear as a bell. And my son asked me one time, he said, Daddy, he said, what's going to happen if you ever start drinking again? I said, pack your bag and get in the car with your mom. He said, where's she going? I said, she's leaving. The first sip I take, she's loading up the car. She's leaving. And you get in the car and you better go with her. I know it's going to be terrible. I don't, myself, my own personal self, I don't feel like I've got to, if I relapse, I don't know if I'll ever make it back. I don't know that. I can't say that today. If I relapse, I'll make it back. I can get back on the road. I don't know that, and nobody knows that. If people knew that, they would relapse and get back on the road, but nobody knows that, so we can't say that, I can't say that, and there's other things like I've got to be aware. Like I've got glaucoma. I can legally smoke marijuana in the privacy of my own home. I can. But to me, that's mood altering. And if I run out of marijuana, am I going to look for something else to change my moods? Am I going to the doctor to get some kind of pill to change my moods, because I'm out of marijuana? To me, I can't do that, and some people, they need it. They got to have it. It gives them back their appetite. It helps with their aches and pains. It helps with the eye pressure. There's good uses for it. But for me, I feel like that would be a step backwards for me personally as an individual. So I don't do anything. I had 2 teeth pulled, and they tried to give me Percocets, and I was like, I don't want them. I just want ibuprofen. I don't want them. I don't know. Just take them. They're going to help you sleep. And I said, well, that's what the ibuprofen's for. I can take a couple ibuprofen and I'll go to sleep. No, just take them with you. I said, no, you don't get it. They're not even making it to the car. If you make me take them, I'm going to go and flush them in the toilet. That's what I'm going to do with them. I don't want them at all. Oh, well, I'll go cancel that. And so I've got to be aware, because there's so many, to me, that addiction comes from the evil one, and he's looking for any and all avenues to get you to relapse, to get you to slip and fall. And you got to be aware of yourself, at all times, but remembering those mornings, they're terrible. It's just terrible, man. I was pitiful. I tried to borrow money so I can get some food, and then I get a little food and ended up getting a 6-pack, and then somebody shows up with a 6-pack. The repetitive cycle, getting drunk all over again, But I remember those days, and that's what keeps me. One of the things that keeps me from relapsing, and in my personal relationship with the Creator, the Cheyenne's got my hell. So I think that without that, because when the judge said 4 months or 6 months in county, that to me that was my help talking to the judge. And when I went to treatment, and they told me everything I didn't like to hear. That was the Creator talking to them people. You only got to change one thing, and that's everything. And I've changed a lot, and I'm not done. So, but thank you though. Thank you for listening.
I have a quick shout out that I want to give, two actually. So I just want to thank Natalie for all this wonderful food. She's been teaching me. If you've been to our events, you've definitely had Natalie's food before, but she has been teaching me how to cook with love, basically. You know, we're always trying to hurry up and get this meal cooked and get this on the table, get these kids fed, but she puts her love and her heart into it, and so we always enjoy it. So thank you. Number 2 shout out goes to Belinda, who has 9 months sober today. Woo! Keep going. And I have one more shout out. I believe our sister Legend has 9 months too. Woo! That's so awesome. Thank you guys for being here and sharing your sobriety with all of us. I bet there's so much sobriety in this room right now. It's crazy. Okay, and we had one more question. How has what? So I feel like just for me personally, well, I didn't grow up knowing like my culture, my family, or anything because they were all alcoholics. But my grandpa came back into my life when I was about 9 or 10, and I got the opportunity to learn a little bit about my family. And now through work, we get to learn more about culture. You know, I think each of us in addiction have strayed away from culture in one way or another. And so culture is connection, culture is the opposite of addiction. And so I think each time that we put ourselves out there and we try a new thing, you know, we make a skirt or, you know, go to a sweat or whatever it may be, go to a dance, we're opening that door for learning and healing through culture. So thank you. Anyone else want to touch on that? Culture? Culture? Man, they're just being shy today. You should come in our office once in a while. For real. I think that's all, but I just want to thank everybody for coming out and sharing a meal with us, getting to know us. You know where we're at now, so if we can help you or connect you in any way, come find us. Thank you.
Yeah, this guy.
Are we ending?